My husband did a paternity test on our son behind my back. And from there, our relationship went into a downward spiral. My husband and I have been together for 6 years and married for 3. Our relationship has always had a bit of trust issues on both sides. I figured no one is perfect, and it never seemed like that big of a problem. But obviously, now with this situation, I feel like I missed a huge red flag. And by the way, this is relevant. I am white and my husband is black. We had our first child 2 years ago, and things were great. My husband is a wonderful father and very involved and supportive. Our daughter looks like a perfect mix of the two of us. Our daughter was a planned pregnancy, but our son was less so, although we were pretty careless with condoms around the time I conceived. My husband was just as great during the pregnancy, and he did a lot with our daughter to give me breaks when I was sick. He took the week of my due date off and pampered me the whole time. Literally, the minute he saw our son, everything changed. He actually walked out of the delivery room. I wasn't really focused on him at the moment, but it was tearing me up until I saw him again, which was when he brought our daughter to visit. He basically ignored me and our son the whole time. I knew something was wrong, but I really couldn't figure it out. I thought maybe he had been hit with crazy new father-son feelings and was wrestling with them, so I left him alone for a while. Finally, last night, I asked him what was going on, and he said he'd email me because he was too angry to talk about it. This morning I received his email, and it was basically him saying our son is a white baby, and he is clearly not the father. He told me he won't be involved in me or our son's lives until he gets a paternity test proving he is the father. This really blew me away. I haven't told anyone I know yet because it's so new. I am kind of hoping he's a crazy dad, and we will laugh about this soon, so I don't want to tell anyone and taint their image of him. At the same time, I am pissed because he is saying he thinks I cheated, and he can't even talk to me about it. And right now, I think he's really stupid. Our son is much lighter than our daughter, but he still looks like his dad. I am not doing the test, but I don't know how to reply to his email other than with a big F you. I feel like if I say no, he will just divorce me, and I don't want this to tear up an otherwise happy family. My husband thinks our son isn't his. How do I refuse a paternity test without ending our marriage? Update. Sorry if this post leaves out important details. I did last time. I'm just busy, but last time many of you helped, so here goes. Just to clarify, since many people seem to focus on this, neither of us has cheated. By trust issues, I meant unwarranted jealousy, I guess. For example, we used to have a rule about not hanging out with opposite sex friends alone. But that was when I was 19, and the rule has basically ended as long as my husband knows about it. Now it's mostly him getting nervous if I take too long to answer text or something. Well, I answered the email with a simple, "Son is your son. We will talk about it when you get home." My husband came home that night completely different than he had been in the 2 weeks our son had been home. He actually picked him up and talked to him, which was the first time he had done so. I was doing a little art project with our daughter, and then it was dinner time, so we didn't have a chance to talk until she was in bed. Based on the advice here, I had been prepared to discuss why he immediately went to cheat, and then consented to the test. Then he told me he had already done the test, the first day our son was home. But when the results came back for him being the father, he was still paranoid about me cheating now that the birth had planted the seed. So he sent me the email, basically hoping I would confess. When I didn't, he decided it was finally okay to trust me, and that's why he was much more pleasant. I told him I wanted couples therapy, and he said no, which is what he always says when I have asked in the past. And I wanted to say I would leave him if he didn't because the reality is I really can't raise a toddler and an infant by myself, and I don't want to have to split custody. Our holidays were pretty much ruined. I can barely look at him, but luckily it was my son's first time out, so I had an excuse to be busy. This morning, before our daughter was awake, he actually did apologize and said he could see how much everything was hurting me, and if I wanted therapy, he would do it. I said okay, though I feel like the time to say that was 2 days ago. I don't mean to hold a grudge, but I'm feeling like I just don't love him anymore. He always wanted me to tell him where I was going and who I was with, which was one thing, but accusing me of cheating and denying our son is a whole different thing. He's been a great dad since the conversation, but it's like 2 weeks too late. Not the update I was hoping to give. I wanted him to come home with flowers and apologies and say he didn't need the test. But we'll go to therapy and see how that goes. TLDR. My husband tested paternity behind my back. We are going to therapy. Update. It's been a year since my last post, and so much has changed. I've been lurking on Reddit most of that time and occasionally debating updating, but the number of messages I received that had the N-word in them made me hesitate. But I feel good about how everything is going at this point, and I hope this might help someone else. My ex and I are no longer together. He bailed on the therapy at multiple points, and his behavior became more and more unstable. I told his mom, and she tried to talk to him about it all. In response, he moved out and basically disappeared. We are not divorced, but we have had no contact since February 2015. The longer we spent apart, the more I realized how free I felt. I downplayed his issues a lot in my posts because I was still stuck in it all. I was not allowed to leave the house hardly at all while caring for our daughter. I had no friends and limited contact with my family. And even though he had his good moments, he was just horribly mean in the most underhanded way, telling me I was eating too much, asking why I hadn't showered that day because I smelled I didn't, and making comments about hoping our daughter didn't grow up like me. It was never that he hit me, screamed at me, or even got mad, so it never felt like that big of a deal to me until I had space. My kids are doing great. My daughter misses her dad a lot. He really did treat her well, but I know she's better off without him. His mom is still a big part of our lives, and that helps. I've started working, and she watches my kids during the day. I'm glad they aren't completely losing that side of their family. I love my job, talking to my family often, and being able to just go to the store without being interrogated. It was difficult at first to adjust, but now I wouldn't go back for anything. We aren't divorced and don't have a custody agreement, which I know I need to do now. It took me this long to really feel stable and able to tackle it, but it's my next step. I hope this helps at least one person recognize that they might not be in as good a relationship as they think, and know that it really is better on the other side. Thanks to all the commenters who first planted the seed that my relationship was not as great as I'd thought. The Osif X vanished. My kids are better off, and I'm happy. Second story. I hate my autistic brother and entitled mother. Throwaway account. I, 14M, have a brother, 16M, who has autism, and I just can't stand it anymore. Before you go and make assumptions, let me get this out of the way. He's not like the autistic people you see on the news or online. He's a perfectly functional, intelligent person. However, he becomes violent when he doesn't get his way, and his brain doesn't get toilet messages, regularly pisses, or SHTS himself. The thing with him is that these things only happen at home. Anywhere else, he doesn't have any problems with accidents in his pants. What happened today drove me over the edge to the point of writing this. For context, here is the usual routine. I wake up to him on my bed, hitting me repeatedly. My parents are downstairs making breakfast, oblivious to this. He won't stop, so I shout for my mom. She comes upstairs, gets him off me by rewarding him with chocolate, and proceeds to yell at me for shouting for her and confiscate my electronics for an hour. When I get home from school, all is fine. I do some homework and go on the Xbox. After around 30 minutes on the Xbox, he does the same thing. It hits me over and over, leaving me with no choice but to call for my mom. She again rewards him for stopping before proceeding to tell me off and confiscate my electronics for the rest of the day. I'm writing this with the phone one of my friends bought for me, which I keep under my bed, as this is the only way I get to use technology for over 40 minutes a day. a reminder that this is the daily routine and has been occurring for at least 5 years. However, what happened today was even worse. He'd seen a Lego set that he wanted, and he beat me up until he got it. I shouted for my mom, but this time she did something different. She let him order all the Lego he wanted from my debit card. I've been saving up doing my paper round for 2 years to buy a PC, and he just spent 400 pounds of my money on Lego. I hate this. I hate my life. It feels like I'm only living to suffer. This post is purely me venting and will likely not go anywhere, but I don't care. With all that said, is there anything I can do about this? I'm a minor in the UK, if that helps. TLDR, my autistic brother spent over 400 pounds of my hard-earned money on Lego, and my mom supports this. Edit. Thanks for all the supportive comments. I didn't think anyone would care. Update. Hi all, this is an update on my situation. First, I just want to say thank you. Thank you all so much for all the support on the original post and all of your ideas in the comments. I tried to reply to every comment, but there are so many that I can't do that, although I do read them all. Second, I want to do a quick fact, as many comments are asking the same thing. So here goes. Move in with another family member or tell another family member. They all live 100 plus miles away and don't believe that it's serious. You can get your money back as you are the cardholder. Nope, I need a legal guardian to go into the bank with me to do that. And finally, hit him back. I am a weak, 5-foot tall 14-year-old. He is a strong, 6-foot tall 16-year-old. This would cause more harm to me because he would attack back harder, and my mom would punish me more. Next, to the people who have offered me money in PMs in the comments. Thank you all so much for the offer, but I'm not going to accept anything. As I've come to realize, the assault is far more serious than the money at the end of the day. Finally, onto my plan. After reading literally hundreds of comments, I've decided that the best course of action is to leg it out of school to the police station on Wednesday and show them my collected video evidence and the bruises on my arms. Again, thank you all so much for your advice. Please let me know if this is what I should do or if there's a better alternative.